16 Signs of Low Intelligence in a Person. Since the Industrial Revolution, whole economics and technology, due diligence and intelligence are no longer the most significant factors for employers. Schools place a premium on intelligence, and a highly intelligent individual is more likely to obtain a favorable audience and be well welcomed in our regular dialogues and exchanges of ideas. Most people are irritated when they converse towards someone who clearly has little intelligence, but who exactly is this person of low intelligence? A lack of wisdom, common sense, comprehension, and expressive communication are some characteristics of someone with low intelligence. According to the Intelligence Quotient, or IQ test, a person with an IQ of 80 or lower is regarded to have limited intellect. The IQ test is a standardized assessment of human intelligence and mental capacity. But before diving into it, please remember that we make these videos for free for your entertainment, and all we ask is that you click on the like button and subscribe with the notification bell on. First, a lack of desire to attempt new stuff. The ones with low IQ appear to be resistant to new experiences in general. You'll observe that they don't just reject new ideas, but also new art, music, and so on. Those with a high IQ, on the other hand, find novelty to be a wonderful source of stimulation. They must be exposed to fresh experiences in order to continue learning and developing their perspectives. Do you get excited to try out different things, or are you just lazy and boring? Tell us in the comments. Take a step back from ideas. People with low IQs avoid circumstances that require them to think. They're unable to function unless given precise instructions. They never think for themselves. They perform well in systems that emphasize memorization but struggle in the actual world. Put them in an unexpected setting where they must think rapidly on their feet and watch them fall apart. Do you like sharing your ideas and perspectives with other people? Diminished capacity for reflection. Introspection is one of the most amazing qualities of the human mind. It's a tool for determining what causes what in a given situation. Sharp observation and the capacity for introspection have been driving forces in human progress. Lack of critical thinking ability. It's difficult to think critically because it goes against the way your brain is wired. The mind receives information, turns it into beliefs, and then seeks evidence to back up those beliefs. It takes a lot of focus to figure out if those beliefs are true. It's unfortunate, but it's the only way to get to the bottom of things. They rarely change their minds. The speed with which people can modify their opinions reflects their ability to absorb new knowledge. Low intelligence people prefer to hold on to beliefs they've learned years ago, whereas intelligent people change their minds about subjects on a monthly or weekly basis. If you have strong feelings about an issue, it's most likely because you've only considered one side of the debate. How often do you change your mind? Or do you always stick to your rules? Absolute thinking. People with low IQs excel at seeing things in stark contrasts. They appear to think only in terms of opposites, ignoring the gray areas in between. Reality is frequently too complex to be interpreted in terms of opposites. Lack of creativity. People with low IQs are less likely to be innovative since they're unwilling to attempt new things. The lack of limitations is not required for creative thought. Those who are at their most innovative work in groups full of other imaginative minds. As a result, artistic endeavors reinforce one another, yielding increasingly astounding outcomes. Share with us how creative you are in the comments below. Lack of inquiry. According to recent studies, curious people are smarter. As a result, smart people are insatiably curious and like filling their minds with new information by reading, challenging accepted orthodoxy, and engaging in probing dialogues. Von Steumann's study was published in Perspectives on Psychological Science. It's significantly more intriguing to identify those with the most developmental potential, and curious children tend to do well in school. That is, the curious ones. Albert Einstein famously stated, I have no extraordinary talents. I'm merely profoundly curious. The preceding is the most reasonable explanation for clever people's intense curiosity. People with poor intelligence, on the other hand, have the opposite experience. A person of low intelligence lacks a desire for information, is satisfied with the few things they do know, and is resistant to broadening their horizons through even the most basic forms of education. Lower Intelligence Quotient. A low IQ test score is a pretty reliable indicator of general incompetence. Reason being, an individual who has mental impairments won't be able to perform the duties expected of them in an effective manner. This sequence of examinations will put your reasoning, logic, processing, and so on to the test. A below-average IQ score of 85 to 115 suggests that the individual is not as intelligent as the average person. A score of less than 70 implies a lower degree of mental capacity. An IQ test result in the 50 to 70 range indicates mild intellectual impairment. On this scale, there are two levels: moderate, which is 35 to 49, and severe, which is 20 to 34. If a person's IQ is less than 20, they are likely to have some serious mental problems. Did you ever take an IQ test? If yes, then what was your score? Feel free to share it with us. Slow start to development. Individuals with low IQ differ from the general population even more because they have developmental difficulties. As a result, the cautions are usually visible. By evaluating your baby's actions with those of other infants, you can acquire insight into his or her mental development. Professionals from a variety of fields can help you determine if your child is falling behind. A child with intellectual disabilities may miss developmental milestones such as sitting up or crawling. Furthermore, they may not begin walking when you expect them to. Furthermore, a child of this age may not begin talking until considerably later than is typical. It's possible they won't be able to communicate or may struggle to learn. Logical problems. Those with low IQs may have difficulty reasoning and finding analogies. This is due to the fact that logical reasoning is a highly developed mental capacity. It's the process of taking in information, deciphering what it means, and applying that knowledge to a situation. Given all of the levels upon which thinking occurs, it's unsurprising that some people may struggle with it. Most tasks will be difficult for those with cognitive limitations to solve on their own. They will not only be unable to understand the link between their actions and their outcomes, but the contrary will also be true. When they're compelled to use their reasoning skills, they encounter difficulty. That's why it'll be vital to provide ongoing assistance to these people, especially children. How often do you use logics in your daily routine? Learning and memory difficulties. If you pay close attention, you might be able to discern if someone has a low IQ. The bulk of these people will struggle to learn new stuff and remember it. Memory issues are not amusing, despite newer research suggesting that they can lead to better decision-making. Those remarks may give the appearance that you can't remember anything, including the most important things. One could argue that these people's minds aren't wired for learning. People with even minor mental disabilities have severely limited educational opportunities. This is related to their issues with logic and reasoning. However, you should be aware that, barring any very dire circumstances, they will be able to learn even the most basic practical skills. Unsatisfactory social skills. Their condition dictates how they must behave in social situations. People can adjust to society's expectations and be acceptable under modest settings. Those with a middling or lower IQ, on the other hand, will struggle to explain themselves to others. Individuals are incapable of engaging in in-depth discussions due to their low IQ. As a result, those with IQs lower than 20 might struggle to grasp spoken language. However, they will need your love and encouragement just as much as everyone else, if not more. As a result, there are several techniques to encourage such people to participate in meaningful social activities. Though you may not be able to engage them in a philosophical debate, you may find common ground in other areas. If only because of you, they will learn how to interact with others. Are you socially awkward or an extroverted person with a lot of confidence? Incapability to carry out routine tasks. Have you ever pondered how your mental abilities can influence your physical abilities? The more you think about it, the more sense it makes. No amount of convincing will work if the person you're trying to convince doesn't understand the rationale behind your request. Consider a person with intellectual disability using the restroom. If they're unable to do so, it does not always imply that they are unable to take a shower. Even so, they won't understand the dangers of mixing water and electricity, or the consequences of simply utilizing hot water. As a result, even the most basic chores will necessitate the support of others. In most cases, however, students will only be taught the most essential parts of self-care. Unordinary physical symptoms. Sometimes you'll notice a distinguishing element of their physical appearance. Moderate mental problems, on the other hand, rarely appear physically. Those who are born with a disability are easily identified by their outward manifestations of the defect, which is usually genetic. The same is true for children whose growth was hampered for any cause prior to or after birth. Individuals with Down syndrome, for example, exhibit similar facial traits. A short neck, bulging eyes, a squinty look, and a small head and ears are all characteristics. Other health conditions. Issues other than IQ are widespread among persons who have it. You may notice that they're frequently furious or that their behavior is erratic. That is to say, they may have aggressive tendencies or bipolar disorder. Anxiety and depression are also possible side effects. They may even have a proclivity for self-injury. Lastly, these individuals may develop autism and ADHD symptoms. Problems with vision or hearing often accompany seizures. Feel free to talk to us about your mental health problems and share your experiences of how you got out of it to create awareness for others. Understanding intelligence is critical because it sheds light on other fundamental human experiences such as invention, personal growth, and emotion. The existence of intelligence has been blamed on both heredity and environment, but the truth may lie somewhere in between. Making less skilled people feel comfortable asking questions is a critical step toward assisting them in learning. They won't be able to learn anything new from you if they're afraid to ask questions because they believe you're too intelligent for them. This was all about 16 signs of a low intelligence person. Do you have higher intelligence or lower? Do you know someone who has an extremely low IQ level? Tell us in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if so, then please give it a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next one.